friends, and welcome to my little home. I'm sitting here outside my front door with flowers. It's a beautiful day in July here on the island, and I just thought I'd like to just say hi and talk a little bit about my books. I hope everybody's doing fine. I know this is kind of an odd year, but hopefully you're all hanging on in there. I haven't posted for a while because I've been working really hard on my website and also on my second book. I don't know if you've seen my first book. This is it. It's called Rookscroft, All Feathers and Hats, and it's a funny little story about Vernon Cottrell and getting to know him, and when he came to visit me at my house at Rookscroft, and how he introduced me to a bunch of other of his friends. He makes the hats for all the animals in the story, so it's just a funny, silly little story. The second story is a little bit different. It's I think it's going to be titled The Circus of the Crescent Moon. I have been working on it for nearly 3 years, and I'm just in the final stages of doing a final edit and finishing the artwork. And speaking of the artwork, here is the painting that I'm still working on him, but I was working on him on some of the other videos. Here he is close up, and I'm still working on, his name is Bartholomew, and he is, comes in the middle of the story, and he's actually the ringleader of the circus, and I'm painting him here with the his circus caravan in the background. So I'm going to work on some of this, and I'll actually video when I'm doing that, because I'm going to put some gold leaf around the lettering and just like finish it off. But anyway, today he's just a character. This is Bartholomew, and the second book is it really starts off with Quentin, who was in the first book, and it's winter, and I go and there's a big storm coming in, so I go and up to his rose bush that he lives under to get him out. Here he is when he comes out of it, and he comes back to live at the house. I actually made a map of, it hasn't printed out very well, but here you can see a map of the island. Here's the house and the bay. You can see Jack Fogg's boat here, and you can see the hills behind the house. Quentin lives in a little rose bush at the top of the back of the hill here. Up here is where the church is from the first book. It's also in the second book, and Sarah Stockton's house is up there. Then down in the bay is a little village that's also, like, it's in the second story. And up here, if you take the path up here, this is where the wildwoods are, and this is the still of the old bear. And back over here you can see the mountain range, where the harvest moon is up here. So this is kind of like for future stories. So that just gives you a little idea of where everything is. I thought I showed you a couple more pictures from the second book. Here's because it's a circus. Everybody travels in little caravans, and here's a picture of the caravans. This is actually when they were parked around the side of the house. The circus actually comes up to the house to perform, and here they are in the nasty cold morning, just kind of getting up and getting warm, which is so different from today, but you know, there they are. You can see they're making a little bit of food for breakfast there. And then one more picture that I'll show you, which is this is Kitty. She's also, here she is when I first see her on the doorstep. It's a little painting sketch that I did of her, and she's like a main character in the second story. So I am going to read you just a couple of pages of the story, Just it's a little bit in the middle of the story, and I'm gonna ask if any of you are interested in helping me to just like do a final read through, and maybe just check on everything. I'm gonna get the main editing done, so there won't grammatical errors and things, but it's really good to have a few people kind of just really cast their eye over it. So if you have like a few hours and you've got a bit of a loose end, just contact me through, you can email me or through Facebook or through my website, and just let me know, because I'm looking for just a few people to just kind of give it one last look over before I go ahead and print it. It's really expensive to print it. I'm not even sure I'm going to get money from at this point, but at some point I will. But I just want to, you know, be able to share the story with everybody. So this is a little piece of the story, and to contextualize it, Sarah Stockton, here she is. She's in the book. She's just visited the house, and she's in the kitchen with Wild Bill. Here he is playing his banjo, and Oleg the Magnificent, who is, oh gosh, here's Oleg. Oh gosh, there's got to be an easier way. Anyway, they're in these guys are gathered in the kitchen, and Quentin is afraid of Sarah because Sarah's a fox, and his family were all eaten on the ill-advised day trip to the bay. And here is Quentin. So Quentin, magnificent Quentin, decides to go and hide in the pantry while she's at the house. She's in the kitchen chatting to the others, and when she comes along, she's got a little basket with her, and it seems to be filled with vegetables. So I offer to put the basket into the pantry where Quentin is hiding, just to kind of keep them cool and just get them out of the way while she's visiting. And so she hands me the basket, and I put it in the pantry to keep cool. And Oleg has just asked where Quentin is because they're friends, and so that's where this starts. And you'll hear me doing attempting to do funny little voices, okay? And it's also I'm in the book because it's a diary, and I'm just telling you what happened. So, oh, he's somewhere about, I replied vaguely. Make yourselves comfortable, and I'll put together a tray to share. I left them chatting and slipped into the butler's pantry to check on his whereabouts. As I opened the door, I was greeted by the oddest sight. For a brief moment, I saw the head of a bird, possibly a small quail, poking up from the vegetables in Sarah's basket, and then it was gone. Quentin sat perched on the edge of a wooden crate, and upon seeing me enter, looked up in distress. "Close the door," he hissed. "What's going on?" I asked. "I thought I saw—" "A quail?" asked Quentin. "Your eyes, my dear, are not deceiving you, for indeed there is a quail in this basket, and a very vexing one at that." I crouched down to take a better look. "Hello," I whispered kindly in the general direction of the vegetables. "Is anyone there?" "Just silly old me," replied a shrill little voice, and a small brown head popped up from between the Brussels sprouts. "Good morning, or is it afternoon? It's hard to tell. I'm in a bit of a dither. It must be one of those days." I noticed he was wearing some kind of formal attire around his neck, a white starched collar and a little bow tie. His eyes darted round with such speed he made me feel quite giddy. "I mean," he continued, "it's not every day that you're invited to dinner, and well, to be honest, this all feels like a bit of a dream." "As I was telling you," Quentin interrupted, "your dream is any other same bird's nightmare." "You, sir," cried the quail in his little high voice, "sound like a bad loser. Jealousy is the mark of an inferior man." Quentin's beak hung open in disbelief, and he turned to look at me. "Do you hear this nonsense? I can barely believe my ears." I crouched down low when the quail turned to regard me with his little black eye. "I mean," he continued, "it's an honour to be invited to dinner, formally, wouldn't you say?" "2 or 4, chimed in Quentin loudly. "Pardon?" replied the quail, jerking his head back up at Quentin. You said she asked you to dinner, but dear bird, look at the facts, if you will. What facts? Asked the quail in confusion. Well, for one, you are currently sitting in a basket of vegetables, and I smell tarragon? Well, I believe I do. Add a pot, a little heat, an hour or so, and voila! You misunderstand, cried the quail, his voice shaking. How could you think such a thing? Why, Miss Stockton is lovely, and I feel you are questioning her honour. She and I are friends and have chatted amiably the whole ride over. And might I inquire, replied Quentin, what the chat was about? Well, she was mainly concerned about my diet and health. She sensed by my voice that I might be fighting a cold, so before she left, she made me the most delicious garlic drink. There's one born every minute, sighed Quentin. She doesn't need to hunt, they just pop right into the basket. Next thing you'll be telling me she was rubbing garlic butter on you. She did suggest it, yes, replied the quail shakily. Around the neck. She thought perhaps it might help. She's really very caring. Why, in the past 2 weeks she's fed me right up. Quentin cast me a disparaging glance and rolled a yellow eye. Good Lord, Jane, please see if you can talk some sense into him. The quail turned to look at me. I'm not sure you're safe, I began gingerly. Perhaps you should step out of the basket and I can slip you out through the back door. Disappoint Sarah, cried the quail. Not being there for dinner would be most upsetting to her. She even bought a bottle of wine. He pushed aside some baby carrots, revealing the top of a bottle. Well, now we know what you're bathing in tonight, quipped Quentin dryly, throwing up his wing. I give up. If you're that stupid, maybe your best use is to serve as a tasty meal. The last comment seemed to do the trick. Do you really suppose, began the quail, his poor voice shaking. I mean, she's been such a friend. She did the same for my brothers and sisters, and they were delighted to go. And have you seen them since? Asked Quentin. Not exactly seen, replied the quail, his voice faltering. Sarah has told me. He looked at us both, his eyes suddenly wide. Oh dear, I fear you may be right. Please can people help me from the basket? And as soon as was he out, then we heard raised voices from the kitchen. Stay, cried Oleg. There is no point in hurry. Have supper with us. Footsteps. There was very little time. I opened the little pantry window and the quail popped up on the sill. Better not go home right away, advised Quentin in a whisper. Go directly to the woodshed. Once she leaves, we'll come and get you. I'm feeling conflicted, began the quail, bracing himself against the cold wind. What if? Better conflicted than dead, hissed Quentin, and with a quick movement he jumped up and knocked the poor little quail off the sill. He landed outside with a soft thud. Quentin quickly closed the window behind him before we could hear him protest. Okay, that's a little bit. That's where you first meet Robin, who's a very fabulous quail. Very small and very cute, and I'm painting him right now, so anyway, if you're interested in helping me with the rest of the story, to read through it with me, that would be wonderful. And I'll give you one of these if you do. This is a walrus-sized coffee cup. I have tea in it because I'm English, but very fabulous if you happen to know a walrus, and if not, it's a very big cup of coffee. It'll last you all day / tea. Anyway, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you take care and look after yourselves, and look forward to hearing from you, and I'll speak to you again soon. Take care, bye.